And my guest today is Amr Raafat, and he is the Vice President of VDC and Technology for Windover Construction. Hi, Amr.
Hi, Rick. How are you?
I'm good. And we're going to jump right into this because you have such exciting things that you do, and you're talking about the technology in the industry. Let's start right from the start, how the technology has improved our efforts in construction.
Hi, Rick. So the use of technology at Windover, we've been utilizing technology to offer real solutions that could really support the construction processes, help provide value in terms of eliminating risk and waste, and help us build better and safer. And I'm looking forward to discuss with you all the different technologies we've been using on site and in the office.
Well, we've talked about this in a little length prior to this conversation, and we talked about how this technology is working for the kind of light that is going through the buildings, the kind of noise solutions it solves, the odor solutions, and efficiencies. Why don't we touch on a little bit of all of that and what makes this new technology improve on all of those things?
Absolutely. So at Windover, we envision the technology as a solution. We look at it as a solution. For example, mentioning the light, after Windover built the state-of-the-art sports facility for one of the prestigious schools in New England. There were an unforeseen condition where the stadium lights are too bright for one of the neighbors. So what we actually did is that Windover, our VDC team, scanned we're using the drone technology, the site, and we had with ground control points, and we modeled the intensity of the light exactly from the fabrication sheets to simulate how the light at 10 p.m. is too bright for the neighbor. And what that helped us is do a light study of how to block that light so that the neighbor blocks the light so the neighbor is happy. So this is used, have used drone technology and virtual reality technology in one solution. So we talked about the drones and how drones being used. Windover is one of the very early implementers in the drones in the construction industry nationwide. And we look at it as more than an eye in the sky. It's more about scanning, measuring, and having data. It's all about the data that could be embedded into workflow to offer solutions, whether it's mixed with virtual reality or mixed with laser scanning to mitigate risk on job sites. Windover is as a go-to for modular construction in the New England area. So what we've been doing actually is how we can utilize the different technologies combined with in-house expertise for modular. We have superintendents and great project managers who developed over the years this modular expertise, and we combine it with our VDC technology, laser scan and drone mapping. A good example of that was Canvas, a project that won the EEC Excellence Awards for Autodesk. It's a global award for transforming the way we build by combining drone data with laser scan. Every time we erected steel on site in a different phase, we drone it with ground control points with the millimeter accuracy with a laser scan. And then we're able to communicate this in real time with the factory making the boxes miles away. So we can make sure that all these boxes will fit perfectly on the steel on site. One of the biggest challenges, Rick, for modular construction and offsite construction is you have elements being built miles away from the site, while you have some site components being built. And the only way you can really eliminate the surprise on site during installation, which is a huge risk, is using the technology. We've been very successful in doing that to eliminate more than 13 clash before they become a problem. And with that, we had 0 clashes on site. We were able with modular construction to shed 3 months of the schedule of the project. So this shows you a couple examples, which we'll talk more about, a couple examples of how the use of different technologies such as drone mapping, laser scanning, virtual reality to offer real-time solutions for the challenges on site to help build better and safer.
So you have those challenges that you have now technology that can improve that and make that more efficient. Now the whole project is going to be a lot more efficient because of all of this new technology. Also the safety of the people in the field. This is also going to be in their favor, I would assume.
Absolutely. Working with the field about safety and eliminating rework. So safety is the first priority in the construction industry and of course at Windover. Firstly, safety is, we have a great record of having everyone safe on site, not only our team, but also working in occupied campuses and making sure you work around clients very safely. This is our first priority, the most important thing on our work every day. And how we do that, combined with our safety experts on site, the technology and communication, constant communication. We use 4D planning to plan projects early on in the process to support with safety planning, 3D logistics, and telling the story of how we're going to build the project before it's even built, to communicate with our trade partners on site, as well as the school or the client for the occupied campus. A great example of eliminating rework, we are working on multi-unit project in Plymouth, and what we did, Rick, is that we after we finished all the underground plumbing, before pouring concrete, we laser scanned and drone mapped all the underground pipes, and we did an overlay, QA/QC, quality control overlay between what we already built, installed on site for all the different pipes, underground pipes, with the first floor plan to make sure we detect any pipes that's missing walls on the first floor or fixtures like toilets. And with that, we're able to, in real time, same day, correct any discrepancies before we pour concrete. Because once you pour concrete and you want to edit anything after that, it's very time consuming and cause delays. So what we did is that towards certainty of outcome, we use the technology to communicate like drone mapping with ground control points and laser scan to support our field team to make decisions and make streamlined decision making, making sure there are no surprises on site. That all help with the safety and eliminating any rework on site. It's all about, like, VDC and technology is all about eliminating risk on site.
So and also now with laser measurements and laser prefabrication, all of that works well together as far as efficiency. Now you can work on parts of the project off-site and have exact measurements. There's no human error because of the laser measurements that you can provide for the project or for the piece of that project.
Absolutely. You're bringing up a great point, Rick, about off-site pieces. For example, I'm going to mention a couple examples that we did in a historic project in the North Shore, a 120-year-old building. We were able to laser scan existing elements, historic elements, the beautifully architecture features on the facade that were deteriorating. And with that, we're able to scan them, create a digital prefabrication model for them, and digitally prefabricate those pieces at Autodesk Technology Center. We're using our technology and our modeling. We're able to 3D print some elements, additive manufacture them using all the digital prefabrication technologies such as 5-axis to transfer the laser scan data into making of things, and through the BIM modeling. So we're able to do exact replicas of these building elements using mahogany wood and using different materials to create the exact replica. That's a good example of how we used off-site construction using the laser scan to create exact replicas for column heads and the different elements, unique features that make up for the shortage actually for skilled labor to replicate all these beautiful things built by hand 120 years ago. We made them exactly look original using great materials and the great technology such as laser scanning, BIM modeling. Another example of off-site and is industrialized construction pieces is we at the Cape Ann YMCA. It required more than 975 trusses, almost 1,000 trusses that needs to be fabricated, and we're able to fabricate that directly from the BIM data from the 3D models. We took that with cold formed steel using the Howitt machine at the Autodesk Technology Center, and be able to, in 15 hours only, create all these different trusses. Each truss made out of 8 pieces, which was made very efficiently with no waste, almost no waste, which is great and aligned with our sustainable strategies at Windover and what actually the industry is heading to, which I'm very excited for, eliminating waste. So at Windover, we created those trusses in a very efficient way using digital prefabrication, and we took it even a step further to assemble each truss 8 pieces using mixed reality. We partnered with our friends at Hologram in Australia. We partnered with them to use a hologram, which is, Rick, like assembling furniture without having to look outside of the task in hand. You can wear the HoloLens too, and it's guiding our field team to assemble these pieces. And with that, we're able to assemble the 1,000 truss with 1 people in 3 days versus 7 days with 2 people. So it's helping us build more efficiently, safer, and provide clients with substantial cost savings and time savings as well.
So now Windover Construction they're a leader in all of these technologies. They use this on a day-to-day basis. How would a construction company operate without doing this? I can't really fathom that, especially in the time we're in, because, we have shortages of materials, and we have shortage of skilled labor. You can't compete if you don't do something like that, correct?
Absolutely. BIM has becoming a standard in the industry. What's unique about Windover is that we have all this broad array or spectrum of different technologies that we combine them together, and we work with all these different technologies such as drone mapping, virtual reality, automation, prefabrication, BIM coordination, all of these different elements, and how we can offer real solution-based. Actually, Windover has been asked a few times by architects and engineers, how about we use your technology even before construction began for projects we are studying? So we launched last year, Windover launched the IDEA platform, Innovations for Design, Engineering and Automation, to extend its leading edge technologies to support our architects and engineers and even some other construction companies in nationwide. And right now we are working in San Francisco, in Texas, in Pennsylvania, to support our partners with BIM, laser scanning, drone mapping, and other technologies. So that's one of the ways we are actually working on extending this to transform the way we build as a whole industry. Another way Windover is doing that is going to the youth at school and helping them see what's the potential in the construction industry, what we are doing, get them excited about, construction is not anymore about the hammer and about hammer, it's as I mentioned, but it is also about using technologies such as robotics, automation, which can be very exciting for the young folks who are determining right now what their career path would be, and we want to help them see that, see the potential, great potential the construction industry can offer them with a great career path for something they really would love to do every day and aligned with their passion. And one of the things we've been doing, we're working with a great school, academic school in the New England area in working with them on different projects. And one of the projects requires replication of some historic elements. And what we're doing is that we are collaborating with Autodesk, and we are replicating all these different elements using our technology and the latest and greatest in additive manufacturing technologies. And we are going to involve working on involving all the students and the community for the school to see how the building elements are being built using the technology, like hands-on experience. So they can really see what's the potential and what's really there and latest and greatest in the construction industry. And with that, we hope to attract more young folks to our industry with their great talent. And the most important thing is if they have the passion for it, you can really train them and have them have great careers, and that they are very proud of. And that's what we want them all to be.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because educational part of the construction industry has been kind of lacking for many years, because young people haven't had real interest in coming into or even starting a career in the industry. And only for the simple reason that they don't know much about it, except for what they've been told by maybe their parents or maybe a guidance counselor, that it's, you know, it's hard labor, you know, but it's not like that anymore. You know, you get laid off every 5 months because, you know, the way it's not, the industry has changed dramatically. And part of that reason is because of what you are just talking about. You know, if the kids are playing these video games like PlayStation 4 and Xbox, and they are so obsessed when they, you know, it's like they're possessed by the TV or the computer screen when they're playing these games. They can't move. They just are so into this. And basically, it's the same thing that you're doing, you know, and, you know, they have the passion and the excitement for this. They don't know it. So
Absolutely.
How do we get that word out?
Absolutely, Rick. You're bringing up a great point. Like actually, many of the like game engines like Unity that's been used to create those exciting video games, we use it in the construction industry at Windover to do our VR experiences, this video game engines or gaming engines actually. So one of the steps we're doing so many steps in educating our new generations about the construction industry and all the great potential in the industry to help build a better environment and better world is, for example, last year I volunteered as a mentor at the Furniture Trust Eco Carpentry Challenge. It is an annual eco carpentry challenge promoting resourceful and recycling and provide opportunities for students to develop creative carpentry skills. I worked with school students to design a new playground that gets donated to a local children daycare facility. And with that, I was working with them, training them how to use 3D Studio Max, how to model all the different elements, and let them design together all these different elements. And that, using the different technologies to do that, you can see in their eyes, their excitement, their passion. So one of the steps we actually should continue be doing is hands-on experience, not only present. We did a lot of externships at Windover, inviting school students from different schools to come spend a day or two at the site. Great superintendents do a great presentation for them about how we build on site, and project managers, and I go give a presentation about how we use all the different technologies on site and in the office. But also, what's great is spending. That was like an eco carpentry challenge with a 2 months commitment. Go meet with them weekly, work with them. These kind of interaction between the professional world and professionals and the school students will really help us find the talent that is very much needed in the construction industry to help advance the industry, the young talent, and get them. If someone has a passion for this, they might not know until they meet a professional like us and sit and work together on something and exercise. They might find in themselves the talent needed for that. So involving schools, which we've been doing in see how we build their buildings with leading edge technologies, constant presentations in school, externships. That's what we've been doing at Windover to help educate and open a door for a great career path for so many young folks.
Well, you know, it's funny that, you know, we're talking about this because when I was younger in middle school or junior high school, which I called it, they had wood shop, they had metal shop, they had home economics. And, you know, these were great, not just to give people ideas of how to get into the different careers, but they were also great lifelong learning experiences, you know, where, you know, at 13 years old, you might not even know how to use a screwdriver or know what the difference between a flathead screwdriver and a Phillips head screwdriver. You know, you learn a lot of these things, and these things will stay with you throughout life. But, you know, this is why people would go in that career direction, because now, you know, they saw what construction's about. And it's not just about the construction, it's also about accomplishment, you know, because when you're working on a project, let's say you're building a building, when that's completed, that you feel that accomplishment that you were part of that. And, you know, we got to get that word out. We got to figure out a way to get more kids involved in it, because I think it's a great career path for them. You know, it's not like you're going to spend $1 million to go to a college and come out and try to make $30,000 a year in a job as a whatever accountant or whatever. This is a lucrative industry for young people. They can make quite a bit of income from it.
Absolutely. I think the key here is everyone is talented, and I believe that every career has its beauty of what you can do and accomplish. What's nice about the construction industry is what you just mentioned, Rick, that you can go by a street and tell your son or your daughter, daddy worked on that project or built that. This is unique by itself for architects, for builders, and for anyone who is involved in the EEC industry. What we are trying to do actually at Windover, and we are at the forefront of that, is transform the way we build. So it's using all the different technologies such as automation, robotics. We mentioned that truss example, and we actually working on telescopic studs that could adapt with any building. We launched that last year with Autodesk and Howick. It's first of its kind, using telescopic studs to adapt with any existing building. We use it with historic projects. Life science projects are growing, so we are working with doing all the MEP coordination elements for life science projects. So the need for different project types is growing, and you can, if all the folks interested to join the construction industry is aware of all the different project types. What's nice is that, like at Windover here, we work on all different project types. We build everything: institutional, academic, life science, senior housing, basic retail, all the different project types. So there is if someone has a passion of building great restaurants, we build the great restaurants. If they want to build schools, that's what's nice about the construction industry, is everything is new. Every day there is something new, and that's what's exciting about working in a fast-paced, very diverse portfolio of projects, which we build every day. Our VDC team is excited because we coordinate and work on BIM projects that is very different. You work on an existing 120-year-old historic and one of the oldest libraries in the US in Boston. And then next day you are working for a project from the ground on a multi-unit project that on a 13-acre site. So all these different portfolios can really attract the different people, different passions for people who would like to be being a part of this industry.
Well, I can't see why young people wouldn't find, you know, the passion for this and the excitement for this type of a job when they do it on a regular basis in their basement or their bedrooms, you know, just on their laptops or computers playing these video games. And so I think it's a great opportunity for young people. And I don't know how we get the word out to them, but we need to. I think it might be starting, but I think that there has to be more promoting it with the public school system. And not just public, the private sector as well, you know, to get the kids interested in something. And, you know, even after school, you know, this is you know, kids are always looking for something, you know, some direction. And this could be a great direction for them. Keep them out of trouble, you know.
Absolutely, and learning new skill sets. It's an accumulated process. Like I started my career working with a public aquarium, great public aquarium designer, Peter Shermaif, one of the designers of the New England aquariums. He designed aquariums all over the world. So when I started my career working with him, I learned a lot about, it was an accumulation process on how you learn the different skills, and with talent, you can really accomplish different things. It's an accumulated process with technology. So for folks who would like to join the industry, you learn, like at Windover VDC team, we learn something new every 6 months because technology is ever evolving, and it's an accumulated process. You have to know A to get to Z. And this accumulation of knowledge, and big part of it and we talked about this before we joined, is about how we can get the young folks' passion to this. You have to have all the basics. You got to learn a little bit about how building pieces can sit together, some of architectural knowledge, architectural history knowledge. Like at Windover, we work a lot on historic preservation projects. You get to know what kind of these columns, what these columns called, when they built, architectural style, different architecture styles. Learn more about structural engineering, structural elements expertise. Learn more about mechanical systems, different mechanical systems. So learning a little bit of all of these different things can really create a good base for young folks to get into the next step, which is joining the EEC industry, whether it's a VDC manager or a super or project manager. But these bases will really empower them to be a successful professional in this career.
You're absolutely right. And you mentioned something before that that struck a nerve with me, with a good nerve. And it was that, you know, when you're in the construction industry, you're working on so many different types of industries, like life science, which normally you probably wouldn't see much about that. But now you know what they're doing in their, you know, the laboratories they build, and, you know, cold storage they might need. You know, you learn a little bit about each industry that you work on, because what you put together is designed for what they're going to produce or what they're going to work on. So that's very interesting as well. And then talk about history, you know. So you're constantly learning in the construction industry.
Absolutely. And to your point, Rick, like we talked about virtual reality, for example, which is becoming a standard in our processes. Like helping clients was very successful at Cape NYMCA, is that when we helped the client in 2-hour session working together to select all the different materials for the project. Because when you look at a sample, different when you look at an immersive VR experience and select all the different spaces material, which really support the high satisfaction at the end of the project when it's completed, because he selected all of this in immersive experience. We work on custom homes a lot. And one of the experiences we did was, you mentioned sound at the beginning of the project, is that we recorded when the client will go into this beautiful house, what you would listen to have an immersive experience. And we did sun study, the sunset. So all these different technologies can really support our custom home projects and our academic projects to select the materials, to be very satisfied when the building is built because they have seen it in an immersive experience way before construction even began. And that's reduced rework. Like I remember working on a life science project before, and we had all the different people who would really use the buildings. They know it best. With the HoloLens and the Oculus Rift, and they check the reach. I want an electric outlet here because I usually put in my room this here. So it's helping healthcare and life science folks experiment the design before the building is even built, which reduce rework and make them use it in the most efficient ways. So technology has been a big part of that as well.
Well, it's been incredible information. It's an incredible career path for someone young, and you did an excellent job explaining most of it, Amr. We could go on probably for another hour, but maybe you'll come back and we'll have an update on this, on the program on this. We're talking with Amr Raafat. He's the Vice President of VDC and Technology at Windover Construction. Thank you, Amr.
Thank you so much, Rick. It's been a pleasure having this great talk with you. Thanks for having me. Have a wonderful day. Thank you.